You can see me.
All right, hi everyone. We'll get going here and start just because we have abbreviated time, but there might be a few joining in, which is absolutely fine. I'm Kim Wagers. I'm the head women's basketball coach here at Concordia and also our senior women administrator. We want to thank you for jumping on today. I know some of you are in between classes, but if you could do this from your own phone or your own computer, that would help. And then let's turn our cameras on and see each other's faces. So it's just easier to engage a little bit and just easier to probably for our presenters too, right? They want to be able to see your faces. This will be done right at 10:20. So the few of you that have to run to class, don't worry, we'll get done by 10:20. We'll share a quiz at the end. That is just a little link with a few questions, but we need you to fill out, obviously answer the questions and then fill out your personal info so that you get credit for being here. So that's part of the reason why like doing this from your own phone will help, just so that you can click the link yourself and take the little quiz at the end. The NCAA obviously mandates that we do sexual assault and Title IX training every year. Both the male and the female teams are mandated to do the training. And so we've just found it really more effective if we split the men's and women's teams up. So basically the same information, just with little tweaks, and just seems more effective when we present it to the teams separately. We're partnering with the Center for Holistic Health. So the peeps that are doing all the educating today, I'll let them introduce themselves here in a second, but the Center for Holistic Health is obviously presenting and did a lot of work to create this content, and are huge partners for us, obviously, in our athletics department. So I'll let Heather, Jen, and Katie introduce themselves, and we'll get going.
Why isn't my video?
I can go first. I'm Heather Simonich. I'm the director here at Center for Holistic Health. I'm happy to be here just mostly to introduce myself to all of you if I have not met you, and support our presenters from Center for Holistic Health as we get going today. So welcome everybody.
Hi, I'm Katie Nystuen. I am the Health Services Coordinator here in the Center for Holistic Health. So my role is to assist our students with the resources they need related to their physical health, their mental health, basic needs, and overall well-being. Thanks for joining us today, and I'll pass it over to Jen.
And I am Jen. You may have seen me on campus already. I was finishing my master's in social work over at the Center for Holistic Health, and now I am in the Director of Student Conduct role. So I'm happy to continue to stay at Concordia.
All right, so I'm going to get us started. One of the things I do as health services coordinator, and part of my role is partnering with athletics on these trainings every year. And there's been a couple consistent themes and feedback from students on things they want more information about. And the first thing that we always want to make sure that we talk about is consent. There's a couple different ways that we like to talk about consent. One of them that I find really helpful when we are thinking about consent is the fries. So this helps us remember all the different parts to give full consent or to receive full consent. And consent needs to be freely given, not coerced, it needs to be freely given. It is reversible. So that means even if you consent to something, you can say no or reverse that consent at any point. So once consent is given, it doesn't mean that it's given for forever or for all different acts, things like that. It's informed. And what that means is that consent is given for specific things, specific and informed things. It's enthusiastic. I think that's a really important part of consent. So it doesn't mean I guess, it means yes, absolutely. Very enthusiastic, and it's specific. It's specific to the act, to the thing, to the time. It's very specific again. So FRIES, freely given, reversible, informed, enthusiastic, and specific. The other thing that we get questions on is, what do I do? Oh, sorry, back up. We have a specific definition of consent at Concordia. So this is the full definition that you'd find in a student handbook through Title IX process. Consent at Concordia is informed, knowing, and voluntary. It's active, not passive. It is not implied by silence. It is not implied by past consent. It is not inferred from a prior or existing relationship. Consent for one sexual activity cannot be taken as consent for another. Consent with one person does not imply consent with another. It cannot be procured by force, threats, or coercion. It cannot be given by an incapacitated partner. It cannot be given by somebody under the age of 16 in Minnesota. And it can be withdrawn at any time. So again, that's consent at Concordia and how it's defined here. The other thing that we get asked to present on is, what do I do if I see something that is not okay? What do I do if I'm a bystander and I see some type of sexual misconduct or some sexual harassment or different things like that? What do I do? And again, this training is very abbreviated today, so this is by no means a full training. If you're interested in that, please indicate that on your follow-up. Talk to Kim about it, talk to me about it. If that's something you or your team is interested in, we can look at doing some extra support, but I just want to introduce the idea of bystander intervention. And again, in an easy way to kind of remember. So when we talk about bystander intervention, an easy way to remember it is the ABCs and the 4Ds. So the ABCs are before you step into a situation. So before you step in or intervene on something, you always want to assess for safety. You don't want to escalate the situation or put yourself at risk. So is it safe to help? Personal safety is always going to be a priority. B would be in a group. So that's another way to increase safety. So if you see something going on and you want to intervene, ask for help. Ask for other people to be present with you. It's always safer to be in a group if you're calling out something that's not okay. And C, you want to make sure that you're caring for the victim. So what that means is, rather than focusing on the perpetrator, you want to care for the person that's being threatened or harassed. So you want to talk to that person who needs help. That's also a good way to prevent escalation. So caring for the person that needs the help is going to be the priority in those situations. And you can do that as simply as asking them if they're okay or getting them away from the situation. How you intervene safely is the 4Ds. So there's different ways you can approach this, and it depends on comfort, situation, a lot of different things. And again, in a more lengthy training, we could talk about different scenarios of how you may use these in different situations, when you know the person, that sort of thing. The first D would be direct action. So that's calling out the behavior and asking them to stop. When you do this, you always want to be polite and calm to prevent escalating the situation. The second D is distracting. So interrupting the situation to divert attention. So creating some type of distraction. You want to create a situation so you can intervene and again, get the person who needs the care away. Delegate. If you are not comfortable, don't feel safe, don't know the person, delegating, find somebody else that can help. So a good example of that would be if you're at a house party and you're seeing something going on, talking to the person who owns the house, who maybe has a little bit of more authority or comfort in that situation, to be like, I'm seeing something going on over there. Can you intervene? Can you help with that situation? So delegating when you don't feel comfortable. And delaying. So the fourth D is when you cannot safely intervene in that moment. Delay means you're going to check back in with that individual after the situation. So if it's not safe to intervene at that time, don't let it go, check in later. Again, that's where you can ask for help as well. It's never too late to act. Do we have any questions about the ABC and 4Ds or consent right now? Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Jen, and she's going to talk through some of the Title IX processing and definitions.
So the definitions, I don't know, did they receive all of those? Oh, there are all the definitions, right?
Yep, Jen, I just put the worksheet, the handout in the chat for everybody to grab. But rather than spend time reading you all the definitions of the various types of sexual misconduct today, we're just recommending that you take a peek at this document, familiarize yourself with the definitions. It also briefly summarizes what Katie went over in regards to consent as well. So Jen, if you want to just kind of tackle moving forward in terms of the reporting process, given I know that's something that's really important for women to understand, that would be, I think, the best use of our time.
Definitely. Okay, so like I said, I've only been in this position since May 1st, and I'm really happy to be able to be in a position that supports both people that have maybe gone through something really traumatic or terrible, and also, you know, the students that may have made poor choices or done things that they wouldn't have done. So there are usually two people or more in each situation. So I wanted to make it clear that both parties are taken into account in each situation. Also, right up front, since I'm new, if anyone has had such a not so great experience with Title IX in the past, I encourage you to come and talk with me. It will not change your experience, but it will definitely allow me to grow in this position. So the next slide is about reporting. Reporting, first of all, can be anonymous. It does really limit what we can do on our end if it does come in anonymous, but that is an option. This approach is rooted in fairness and respect and commitment to your well-being. So coming and talking is never a bad idea. You can talk to any Concordia employee, any student leaders that you're comfortable with. Everybody reports at a different time and in a different way. So whoever your trusted individual is, it's important to talk if you feel you need to. You can talk directly with me, Peggy Torrance, who's in HR, and any of your athletic administrators are there to support. There's also at cord.edu, the Title IX info will give you more information about how to report. So some of the confidentiality does play a big role here. Some of the people on campus are required to report what has gone on directly to me. So if your safe person is listed on here, they are required to talk to me about it. The only result of them talking to me will be outreach from me to you. to see how we can support you, to see how we can be there for you. You do not need to respond. If you do not feel you need to respond or want to respond, this is all driven by you, or whoever has gone through the terrible event. And I want to highlight also too that if they report to me, this does not immediately require law enforcement, and we do not get police involved unless the reporting party chooses that route. We also have confidential resources at Concordia, the Center for Holistic Health. Those are listed on the next slide, I think. Yep. So we have mental health counselors at CHH, the pastors, Kim and Dave and John and Katie at the health services coordinator. They are highly trained in confidentiality and how to respond and how to report or how to support someone following any adverse event. So they're always there. I encourage you to reach out anytime you feel you need somebody. Confidentiality can be a little touchy also because we can't share everything that goes on after a report has been made. So that can evoke really strong feelings because many feel that there's nothing being done since we can't share the details. But I want to promise you that I foster a level of understanding, of course, but also promote accountability so we can support growth in our students to becoming more responsible humans. So either way, there will be a response after a report. So you can take comfort in that, but always come and talk to me if you're feeling unsure about that. So whatever way a report comes in, it comes to the Title IX office, which is this office, which is me. So I will, like I said, reach out to the person reporting and see if there's anything we can do to help or if they need anything. You do not need to respond back. If you do respond and want to meet or want to have a phone call, we would just go over your options, including grievance process, investigation, any supports, resources, any accommodations that you may need, really anything. Every case is so different and every individual is different and comes with a different background and everything. So each case is really taken on an individual basis. And we will really work together to figure out your needs after a report. You can start and stop the process at any time. It doesn't need to go further than you choose or you want it to go. We really try to empower people to decide what is best for them, but we want to provide you all the information that we can. And of course, the information is kept very discreet. Resources. So here's some contact information and some resources. The public safety is always there, Concordia, Center for Holistic Health, and the Rape and Abuse Crisis Center. I can also help connect you to these spots if that's what you need after a visit. And we just want you to know that there are supports on campus and off campus. One thing that popped into my head of just questions that may be running through your heads are, how do you support a friend that has maybe gone through something traumatic? It's hard to know what to do. People really report at their own time. They don't want to report. They don't want to tell anybody, or they do. Everybody's so different. So I think if you have someone that's struggling, we really encourage you to be there to listen and encourage them to reach out, but also not pressure them to reach out. Try to avoid any pressuring on reporting and just be that supportive person. Reporting is really difficult. So I want everyone to know that there is a safe space for you, multiple safe spaces on campus for you to talk. What else? What's another question? What if, yeah, is that the next? No, yeah, we can stay on this slide. So another question I came up with, what if someone is wrongly accused? The percentage of people being wrongly accused is somewhere between 2 2 and 10%. So we know it's really rare. However, I just want to highlight that, you know, the approach again will provide an opportunity for both parties to provide their perspective, and both voices matter. And we want everyone to be heard and treated with dignity throughout this whole process. But we also know that false reports are pretty rare. Does anybody have any questions after hearing that information? Or anything you'd want to add, Heather, Katie, that I may have missed?
I think one of the main goals today for us in this very short time is to introduce these topics, knowing that it's not going to be, like I said, a thorough training, and for you all to understand and know where your resources are. So that's, you know, if you're supporting somebody, if you just have questions, if you are thinking about reporting or do have something, are the victim of some type of misconduct, you can come and talk in these spaces. So again, even though Jen is not confidential, she's a great resource to just ask questions about what if this happens? What would the process be? You can still talk about those hypothetical questions in that office. And you have those confidential resources that if you're trying to figure out what is this going to look like, I don't know if this is the right decision for me, I don't know if I'm comfortable with it, come and talk to me, come and talk to one of our counselors or one of the pastors or the deacon in the office of ministry. We just want people to know that there is support out here for things like, what does consent look like? What does bystander intervention look like? Or in a situation where there is misconduct that's happened, or you're wondering if this is misconduct, if this is something that has happened. So again, this is the start of a conversation. It's not a full conversation, but please don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. I know the space isn't always ideal to ask those follow-up questions if you're thinking about something. But, you know, talk to your coach, give me a call, stop by our office. If there's anything that you're thinking about and just don't want to ask right now, please come down and see Jen or I or Heather or somebody else in the Center for Holistic Health. Another quick resource, as long as everybody is here, that I would just want to introduce is coming in the fall. All students are going to have access to timely care. So as long as you're here, I just want to introduce that because that's pretty exciting for us coming up this fall. So there's going to be medical care, counseling, on-demand services for promoting self-care, peer communities, scheduled medical appointments, prescription services. It's really exciting. So it's going to be another layer of support for people. So again, more information to come, but just wanted to let you all know about that exciting thing that's coming next fall. And thank you. Thank you for your time. Does anybody have any questions? Otherwise, we're going to be putting up the evaluation in the chat here. But if you do have questions, go ahead and unmute, or if you want to stay on afterwards, I'm happy to stay on too.
Katie, the only thing that I would add is just, again, to reiterate the distinction between those confidential and required reporters. So I think it's important for people to understand if you share with an athletic administrator, a faculty member, or a staff that works, for example, in residence life, they're required to report that sexual assault to Jen in the Title IX office. So even if you tell them you don't want them to share that, when you share something like that with a required reporter, they have to share it with Jen. A confidential reporter, on the other hand, those that were listed in Center for Holistic Health, our campus pastors, Katie included, are folks that do not have to report to the Title IX office. So for example, we often have students disclose a sexual assault in a counseling session here at the Center for Holistic Health, but that is not a required reporter. So that doesn't leave the session unless you want it to. So again, just distinguishing those two different types of people to share with. One is required to report it to Jen. The confidential reporters don't have to report it. They can maintain your confidentiality if that's what you wish. All right, I'll go ahead here and post the evaluation form in the chat so everybody can grab that. And just highly recommend that you complete it timely in terms of just as this session concludes. Looks like we have a good 5 minutes left to be able to give you time to complete that evaluation form. So the athletics office can make sure that you have completed your training and are compliant with the NCAA requirements. Kim, anything you'd want to add as we close?
Yeah, in that form, so there's a few questions, and then there is an opportunity, I think, to ask questions. But you do need to put your name and email so that we can give you credit for being here. And then that's also how we'll be able to answer those questions. So we will go through them all and try to make sure that we answer any questions that you have, or provide you with resources and get you answers to any of the questions that you have.
So it looks like one person is indicating they can't use the link. Have others been able to use the link? Maybe show a thumbs up or something. Thanks, Emily. Okay. For those of you that aren't able to get the link to work, there will be a follow-up email, right, Kim, eventually that will also share the link.
Yep, and you can email me directly too, and I can send you the link as well. But we can definitely send it out in a mass email too.
Kim, if you don't have anything else, should we, just let folks know that complete the form, and this concludes our training. And again, look forward to supporting you should you ever need that support here at Center for Holistic Health, or Jen in the Director of Student Conduct Office. So wish you all the very best. Thanks for being here. Take care.
Perfect. Thank you, Heather.
Kim, you should be able to stop the recording, I would think.